Every single one of the trophies I discuss in this video have been gotten by less than 1% of all players on PlayStation and Xbox. We're going to go through all the maps on Black Ops 4 Zombies to see if they actually are the hardest. Starting off with the map 9, the rarest trophy on this map is Consolation Prize, where you have to unalive 9 zombies with a single uncharged shot from the Wonder Weapon. Only 0.2% of PlayStation players have gotten it, and 0.26% of Xbox players have. And I've tried all the achievements and trophies that I talk about in this video, and I can guarantee you that this isn't very hard.
Are you sure about that?
I think that the reason that this is the rarest trophy on this map is just because when people use the Wonder Weapon, they tend to use the charge shot. No, I think that the actual hardest achievement on this map is Gong Like the Wind, where you have to defeat all 8 of the challengers summoned by a gong within 5 minutes. The percentages of players that have gotten this are a little bit higher, but they are under 1%, 0.8% of PlayStation players, and 0.81% of Xbox players. And when I first read this, I thought that this meant that you had to defeat all of the challengers within 5 minutes of starting the first gong, but what it actually means is that you have to do all of that within 5 minutes of starting the game. This forces you to open up most of the map in a fairly quick fashion, so money and firepower are your biggest constraints when it comes to this trophy. Next up is Blood of the Dead, and if I was including Easter eggs in this list, and I'm not because otherwise they would dominate it, then this would without a doubt be the hardest trophy on this map, and probably of the whole game in my opinion. However, this is the first map where I think that the rarest trophy or achievement actually coincides with what's the hardest. That would be Throw a Dog a Bone, where you have to feed a wolf head from the Gondola, Citadel, and Model Industries in one single game. Only 0.1% of PlayStation players have gotten it, and 0.06% of Xbox players have. This is actually the second rarest trophy on Xbox. Now, when I first read the description, I initially thought you had to have a person to do this with, which is hard if you're lonely like me. But I found this solo guide, the link will be in the description, that involves monkey bombs and the sword specialist. So that means that you have to have a set loadout in order to do this, and you also have to have good RNG in order to get the monkey bombs from the box. Or if you're like me and the box hates you for whatever reason, you're gonna have to do the free monkey bomb Easter egg within the map. But then comes the task that you have to time to perfection. First, you have to throw a monkey bomb down close to the wolf head, of course, and then you have to wait a few seconds or else the zombies will despawn, and then you have to pull the sword out and dash to the location that you have to. This can be pretty difficult because the dash isn't very controllable at times, and you only have a few seconds to do this. You have to pull this off perfectly, and you have to do that 3 times. Also, if you completely feed a wolf head, you're gonna have to restart your game. Next up, we have Classified, and the rarest achievement on this map is Going Everywhere Fast, where you have to teleport 7 times in under 1 minute. This is one of those tricky ones where you're probably not going to stumble upon it by accident. You have to actively try to get this one, and when you do try, you basically only have to have stamina up and have a good knowledge of where all of the teleporters are within the map. So even though the percentages are 0.1 for PlayStation and Xbox players, the hardest one in my opinion is Shock Value, where you have to unalive 115 zombies with the electric traps. The percentages for this one are 0.3% for PlayStation players and 0.38% for Xbox players. Now, the only reason that I think this one is the hardest is because the traps are just terribly placed. They're abysmal. Yeah, you have 2 locations, but there's no rest in between hordes with this trap. You have a bunch of spawns on either side that you could get overrun with, and 115 zombies is quite a bit. You have to do this upwards of 6 or 7 times, and even with the anti-entrapment elixir, you have to be on your toes, and you have to know how to hoard if you want to do this. Finishing off the launch maps, we have Voyage of Despair, and the rarest trophy on this map is Stowaway, where you have to survive 5 consecutive rounds in the cargo hold. 0.1% of PlayStation players have gotten it, and 0.21% of Xbox players have. This one isn't very difficult. I got this one on my first try by camping in this little catwalk, which you don't have to do. You can actually use the whole area underneath. So I think that the hardest one on this map is Stoking the Flames, where you have to kill 3 stokers via weak point in a single round. 0.5% of PlayStation players have gotten this, and 0.6% of Xbox players have. And when I first read this, I was confused because I felt like I've been in the high rounds enough on this map to do that. At first I thought that it meant that you had to shoot all of the weak points when you do kill the stoker, but what it actually means is that you have to just finish it off by shooting the weak point and thereby killing it, and you have to do that 3 times in a single round. The only way that I got this to work is by using a shotgun. Snipers would also probably be useful because the stokers tend to hide behind the horde, which is a big part of why this one is very tedious. Starting off the DLC season, we have the map with the easiest achievements by far on this game, which is Dead of the Night. The rarest trophy on this map is Well Done, where you just have to stake Nosferatu in the dining room. I'm not sure how this is the rarest one with 0.1% of PlayStation and 0.16 on Xbox. Either people don't get the stake or they just don't play the map. I know that this is one of the more hated maps in BO4 for some reason. So the hardest one in my opinion, and again, it's not very hard, it's just it's Mastery of Craft, where you have to use all 6 of the buildable tables, the 3 for the wonder weapon, 1 for the stake, and 2 for the silver bullets. 0.3% of players have gotten this on PlayStation and 0.44% on Xbox. Also, I'm pretty sure you don't have to do this in a single game, so you could do this in however many games you wanted to. So I'm just going to move on because these were pretty boring and I didn't want to leave it out of the list. Next up, we have my favorite map from BO4, which is Ancient Evil. And this is another map where the rarest and the hardest coincide, with 4 old gods where you have to completely upgrade all of the wonder weapons. 0.1% of Xbox players and PlayStation players have gotten this. Actually, getting the wonder weapons is probably the easiest part of this whole process. But then you have to remember all of the tasks in order to upgrade all of them to redeemed hands. And you also have to light up the Eternal Flame by getting a legendary and an epic reward. After that, you have to light up this bowl that's high up in the sky. I don't know what's happening anymore. After that, you have to kill a certain type of catalyst zombie in front of the altars, which, by the way, don't even make sense. I mean, why am I trying to burn down Gaia here? That turns the altars into soul boxes, and once you finish that, you have to complete a series of trials that get progressively harder, and these can be particularly tricky because you're not allowed to use elixirs, so if you're not prepared for these, you could be in some trouble. For Alpha Omega, the rarest achievement is Entrapment Entrepreneur, where you have to get 11 kills with 5 different traps in a single game. 0.1% of PlayStation players have gotten this, and 0.03% of Xbox players have, meaning that this is tied for the rarest achievement on Black Ops 4 on Xbox. Which makes sense because you have to do a few of the main Easter egg steps in order to do this, up until you set all of the clocks in the buildings, because that gives you access to a few more traps. Having to do those steps makes it a little more tedious than anything, but I think that the hardest one on this map by far is Checkpoint Zulu, where you have to survive 20 rounds in the spawn. That means that you can't jump off of the bus in the spawn room. That's how confined you are. 0.1% of players have gotten this on PlayStation, and 0.07% of players have gotten this on Xbox. There are actually similar achievements on all of the maps in Black Ops 4, where you have to survive 20 rounds in a single area, but this is by far the hardest one out of the whole game because you don't have access to perks, wall weapons, or the box. Yes, you have elixirs, but stuff like Perkaholic can be gone in an instant if you go down, which is very possible because you have to be very good at training in order to get this done. And elixirs like Power Vacuum and Near-Death Experience are only going to last you a fraction of the amount of rounds that you're going to have to be there. Barring Easter eggs, I think that this is the hardest achievement in the whole game. And finally, we have Tag Der Toten, where the rarest trophy is Secret, where you have to find the secret. Wow. Thanks, Treyarch. No, but seriously, this wasn't found very long ago, and you can see Mars. That's the secret. Only 0.1% of PlayStation players have gotten it, and 0.04% of Xbox players have gotten it. That being said, it's not very hard. You just have to repair the flinger and then spin a bunch of times. Oh, and don't forget your talk about regeneration elixir or you'll die, like me, because I'm stupid. No, but the hardest trophy, in my opinion, is Abnormal Energy Bill, where you have to complete all of the challenge totems. There are 5 totems in the entire map, each with 3 challenges, so you have to complete all the 15 challenges. And this is actually how you get the free Thunder Gun in the map. But some of these challenges are tedious, to say the least. You basically become Pablo's maid for some of these. You cook him up a meal and you take out his literal pee. Okay, bro, you want me to wipe your bum next?
Yes.
No, but seriously, there are some pretty difficult ones in here, especially solo, like the one where you have to hit all of the puppets with these snowballs. And I think the hardest part about all of these is that elixirs don't really help you all that much. But yeah, 0.1% of PlayStation players have gotten this achievement, and 0.23% of Xbox players have. But there you guys have it. Let me know which one you think is the hardest out of all of these. Let me know if you've actually done all of these or which ones you haven't done because they're so hard. Basically, just tell me if you're good or not in the comments. I'm VaryenVybes, and I'll see you soon.